It is I, Tony, from Tony's Not Amused podcast, a podcast where I talk about everything that I absolutely hate. And one of those things could be you today. Today I will be talking about what is it? The pandemic that is happening, well, around a lot of places. But specifically what's happening in the U.S. Um, or more like what is not happening in the U.S. Well, apparently we have the bright idea to open the economy in May, the first week in May, which is probably not advisable. But before I talk about all that stuff, I would like to say thank you to all who are listening. And secondly, I usually don't get political, but this is one of those times where I feel like I desperately need to. Because I have a lot of friends that are, talking about this whole thing too, on both sides of the coin, and I just definitely need to put my 2 cents in. Specifically, there's a couple things that I want to talk about. One of the biggest things I want to talk about is a lot of the essential working. I'm on that coin right now. My job, my previous job, and my current job are considered considered essential jobs, essential positions. Um, and one of them was grocery, and another one is now outside of the food industry. But specifically, what I wanted to talk about was the amount of people that are, I guess, mad. Well, another thing I want to talk about is how people are mad about having to stay inside and limiting their travel just to eliminate the spread of the virus, and why a lot of them are mad that they have to wear masks and all that stuff. But I'm gonna get into the first part of it, which is the second question. I guess the biggest part of it that annoys me is I have a lot of friends that are kind of upset that they have to wear masks and stuff like that. And the biggest part that I guess it hurts me to hear is the fact that a lot of people are doing it out of selfishness. A lot of them are mad that they have to wear a mask whenever they're going out for groceries or a small time to exercise. So if you're going on a run or if you're going on a hike, you can go, but you have to wear a mask. And a lot of some of my friends are upset that they have to. But for me personally, working as someone that had to deal with being around people in a grocery store, you can being on the side of the coin where being essential, you can definitely tell the reason why you need to wear a mask, and a lot of people don't see that, and that's what upsets me. Is a lot of people aren't recognizing the actual need to wear a mask. Especially because there's just some people that I know that aren't essential workers, and they're mad that they have to wear a mask, even though a lot of people are wearing masks for 8 to 10 to 12 hours in a day, just because that's what their job calls them to do, and it's a lot of I guess selfishness, but I don't want to put words into anyone else's mouth or depict them as something that I just don't understand. Um, but that's to me as of right now. That's what I see it as. Is a lot of people are just being a little bit more selfish whenever it comes to the issue, and they're mad that whenever they have to go to the grocery store, they have to put on a mask because it's a breaching of their rights. Because I've seen a lot of people that think that that's what that is. Um, but I live in the beautiful state of Pennsylvania right now, where a lot of this, is happening in my backyard, quite literally. Um, I live near a very populated city, and there's a lot of people that I see all the time that are outside not wearing masks, not doing what they're supposed to, and there's a lot of people that are doing a little too much. And I guess to clear the air a little bit, um, the best place to find what you're supposed to do is the CDC website, first and foremost. Okay, you might have some friends, yes, that do know what to do because they went to the CDC, but also you should do the research for yourself and just not follow blindly. I know I can be a victim to that sometimes. It's just human nature is you hear what you hear, and you're like, okay, well, that's the first thing I heard, so that might be what's probably true. So I'm just gonna go with that, which is, not always advisable. Um, so like, there's just a lot of people that get their news directly from, not directly from the source, um, and just hear it word of mouth, and then they'll follow that blindly, which is a problem. Um, but I guess another thing that I was going to mention, um, was, um, I personally am saying that you do need to wear a mask. Just because I know from working, um, in a place where you have to wear a mask every day, it's definitely advisable because it'll help you not contract it, or if you do have it, it'll help you avoid contracting it. Um, you know, just being out in public, you kind of need something to cover any sort of what is it? Entry of no. Any like access points in your face, pretty much, that the virus can lay on your skin, can get in your mouth, can get in your eyes, your nose, anything like that. Just there's a reason why you have to wear a mask, because it's helping, it's kind of helping like curb the infection rate, and a lot of people need to understand that there's a reason why they're being told to wear a mask. It's not an abridgment of rights. It's just, for the safety of the elderly and the young kids that can contract the virus, to not, and just anyone that's immunocompromised. A lot of people with weak immune systems that are, in their mid 20s, 30s, like there's a lot of people that can contract this very easily, and a lot of people aren't seeing that. They're just seeing it as, um, just avoiding it for themselves personally, and which is very upsetting. But because, as a human race, it's kind of embedded in us that we are to help other people. That's why there's a lot of jobs that provide services for people that don't know how to, prepare meat, um, who like don't know how to farm, don't know how to do a lot of different easy, not easy, but there's a lot of like simple prep things that, um, a lot of people don't know how to do. So then they'll go to other people for it, and the issue with that is just, if that gets cut out of the system, well, then we're kind of screwed. But a lot of the front lines right now is those jobs where a lot of people don't know how to administer vaccines. A lot of people don't know how to administer any sort of like just health in general. A lot of people can't really, pop a syringe in their arm and be like, oh, I know exactly where my vein is, and I'm gonna just pop it, or I know exactly where my muscle is, um, and so I'm just going to, inject myself with something to help prevent a spread of anything. Um, and there's a lot of people that don't know how to farm. Like I said earlier, they don't know how to, properly harvest certain foods. They don't know how to herd animals, so then they can, put them to slaughter for anyone that is, carnivorous. Um, and it's a big issue that I've noticed, that a lot of people are taking this for granted right now, and by, like going outside complaining that they have to wear a mask, but yet they'll still go out and get the stuff that they need for themselves, and then just go home and be back in their, domicile of just like anger that this is happening and wondering why it keeps spreading and all that stuff. And it's like, well, the reason why it's spreading is because we're not following the rules in the first place. And I don't claim myself at all to be a expert in any sort of, infectious diseases, but I have taken some courses, and I do know people, and I am just very conscious of what's happening around me, that I do know some important matters that are a part of this, what's going on. And a lot of it is simplistically just making sure you're clean, making sure you are wearing a mask so you don't contract anything or giving it to anyone, and just keep following the rules that the CDC are giving us, and just keeping up to date on any more information that keeps coming out, instead of being like, oh well, this is changing all the time, so clearly they don't know what's going on. That's not the issue. The problem is that we're figuring it out as we go because we couldn't, cut it in the first place. We didn't. We this like this is a virus that we haven't seen before, um, and so instead of you know taking proper action, we kind of theorized what happened, and now we're just in a whole just clusterfuck of we don't know what's happening. Um, and a lot of it is because a lot of people just aren't informed on what to do. It's not because the government isn't telling us anything. It's just because a lot of people aren't very actively looking for what to do to take preventative measures. Um, but I also want to talk about the whole part of um, essential workers being taken advantage of. Um, so, as I stated before, I did work in a grocer, um, or a grocery store, whatever you want to call it. And while I was there, I did notice a lot of people that were, I guess, upset that stuff is disappearing, upset that they can only take one of a certain item and that they can't hoard. Um, and just a lot of people that weren't wearing masks or anything like that. Um, and a lot of people that are just completely like in denial that like they need to, for the betterment of people and themselves, take caution. And it's upsetting to see because, well, if you're, like I said before, if you're going outside, you have to take preventative measures, and a lot of people aren't, and then they'll get mad and spout and holler about the fact that like they get annoyed that like everything's being closed and like stuff like can't be opened, and it's like, well, the reason why is because in the first place you weren't doing what needed to be done. um and yeah, I kind of also lost my train of thought, but because I recorded this earlier and for some reason it didn't record everything, which was really annoying. And so I had to redo everything, which is absolutely beautiful. But um, something I mentioned the first time was I was really annoyed how there's a lot of people that are, I guess, like, I don't know, damn it, I don't know how I put it, but essentially I got on the topic of how people, I guess, get annoyed with the fact that minimum wage is like not is it's not supposed to be a living wage. And I kind of equated it to what's happening right now. That like, um, it's good that a lot of essential jobs are being paid like the additional money per hour. And I was absolutely grateful that I was at a company that did that. Um, and but there was also times where like I had to forcibly stay home for 2 weeks and you know skimp out on, quite literally, I just got skimped out on pay even though I was forcibly told to stay home, which is an issue in itself, but that's you know besides the point. But I was taking preventative measures and willingly said, okay, I will go home because you guys are telling me to. And but it's great that like people that are a part of, are pretty much getting paid. It's great that people are getting paid extra to put themselves out there. But I guess it's also a shame that like it took this whole pandemic for that to happen. Um, I don't know. I have a differing opinion on minimum wage and living wage and all that stuff. But it just sucks that you could be working quote unquote to death, um, to just get paid less than what someone who is not even working to be paid. And no, it just because you're not working doesn't mean that you're not valuable or whatever the case is. Obviously, because this is something that's different because it's a pandemic. Um, but it just it's kind of heartbreaking that you can put your life on the line and not even get you know like the whole stimulus check. There's a lot of people that were essential that didn't even get it. I know a couple people personally that didn't, and I think it's just my opinion is my own, but I thought it kind of sucked that there was no sort of benefit for a lot of the people that are literally putting their lives on the line. Um, but, anyways, I think that's all I'm going to really talk about for this podcast. Um, I would say, so as I'm recording this, it is, I don't know, I think it's Tuesday. Yeah. So this will, hopefully this video will be up if you're hearing this by the time that you're watching it. I'm assuming Thursday. And hopefully I will have another video out, a video slash podcast, whatever. Hopefully I'll have that out on Saturday. I'm looking to start my YouTube channel up again, and this time actually stick with it because holy shit, I have a lot of things I want to talk about and actually get off my chest and actually, you know, use it in a productive way. So, but but yes, this will hopefully be up Thursday. Hopefully, I will have a video up Saturday, and I'm gonna look at doing a schedule for myself to put out videos. And even if they're not videos, podcast, I'm gonna like not force myself to talk about stuff, but actually talk about stuff because I want to be back. I want to be back to doing this. I actually miss this a lot. I was just dealing with a lot of personal shit that really put me in a bad situation, mentally, and just couldn't, like, physically just life just felt like, heavy. And but it definitely does feel good to be back, and I hope that you listened the whole way through. Hopefully I entertained you. I'm really sorry if I didn't, but this is just something that was important to me, so I wanted to talk about it. But anyways, thank you all for listening. I hope you have a great day, and stay tuned for more videos finally. Yay!